I'm Fancy.
And I'm Colleen.
And this is Murder by Design. So hey guys, welcome back. We've been gone for a little while, but we're trying to get back here in the swing of the things. And tonight we have with us crime scene investigator and founder of the Cold Case Research Institute, Sheryl McCollum. So welcome, Sheryl. How are you tonight?
I'm fabulous. Thank you so much.
We are so excited to have you here tonight.
Looks beautiful outside.
It does. It's gorgeous.
Thank you.
Okay, so we're going to get right into this. We're going to talk tonight a little bit about the George Floyd case and what's going on in America right now as a result of several cases that are kind of popping up right now. We've got George Floyd, Brionna Taylor, Ahmaud. So, you know, we've got a couple different things that have kind of spurred us into where we are right now amidst our own pandemic of COVID-19, you know. So what are your thoughts on what happened on that street with George Floyd and former police officer Derek Chauvin?
Oh, Lord. Tragic, horrific, completely 100% preventable. Mm-hmm. There is nothing good I can say of the whole situation. There's just not. And, you know, it's one of those things where oftentimes, like with Trayvon Martin, you had almost two camps. Some people saw it as murder. Some people saw it as he had a right to defend himself.
Sure.
Mr. Floyd's case, I have not heard one person that can even begin to explain what in the world happened to that poor man for 9 minutes. There's just no explanation, not from police, not from detectives, not from prosecutors. Nobody that I work with from any state has said anything, but that's murder, period.
Right.
Right. He wasn't, resisting, hands behind his back, wasn't struggling.
He was handcuffed.
Right. I felt the whole time that he was still conscious, he was polite. Sir, I can't breathe. I can't breathe, sir.
Right.
Please. Like, just completely preventable. And from what we've seen and heard is that is exactly what police are not supposed to do by taking a knee to the neck.
I've just been hearing from other law enforcement individuals that say that. The scene itself, it just seems super odd. They say that in training that is what they're trained not to do, that the neck should be, or a knee can be placed on the middle of the back or lower, but not on the neck because of this exact situation. Is that true, Sheryl?
But here, yeah, of course. But here's the thing. He's handcuffed.
Right.
He's face down on the ground. You've got somebody at his feet, somebody at, his middle section, and then on his neck. He's not fighting. He's not resisting. He's not threatening anybody. So it's very odd to me, again, for those 9 minutes, what are they doing? He's already handcuffed.
Yeah, it didn't seem like it was going anywhere. It almost seemed like they were waiting for him to die. Like, I don't understand. It was super strange.
And they're near the cars that are still moving, they're in the street. Mm-hmm. So normally for your own safety, you cuff them, you get them up, you get them in the car, you're gone.
Right.
He sat there and sat there and sat there. I don't hear them. Now, I have not seen every bit of footage, but what I don't hear them talking to him. Like, where's your wallet? Or I saw a gun, or stop moving. I don't hear them doing anything.
I don't hear them talking to each other. They're not talking to each other.
They're not talking to each other. They're not radioing, nothing. Mm-hmm. He's got his hands in his pockets. Like, he's just chilling. Like, he's not on another human being begging for his life. It's very strange. The whole thing is strange. Like, when they first go to his car, and then they walk him to the sidewalk and sit him down. He's not combative. Then two of them walk him out of frame. He's not combative. If anything, he's almost scuffling like, You know, I'm walking, but maybe he's not feeling great. I don't know, but he's not fighting them. He's not cussing at them. He's not threatening to, you know, kill everybody there. I don't understand it. I'm at a loss.
He's not a murderer. He's not, you know, a sexual predator.
He's not anybody that's a mass murderer. I mean, they this guy like he's public enemy number one, and it was a freaking fake $10 bill, allegedly.
That a teenager thought was a fake $10 bill.
A teenager thought was fake. $10.
Well,
and death and destruction, $10.
Well, and you got to think, like, the shooter of Parkland, the Parkland school, that shooter was taken into custody alive without any struggle. So why is this man not resisting any arrest for a $10 bill killed? And that's where I think people
did resist. Even if he did resist,
right? Again, it was unnecessary.
Nobody wants to go to jail. So even if he was like, no man, I don't want to, you know, get your hands off me. I don't know. At the point that they have him on the ground, he's already in handcuffs.
Right.
There's
and that's what
of them.
That's what I talked to. We have a producing partner. He's a retired police officer. My father is a retired police officer, retired military as well, both of them. And I talked with them this morning, you know, and I was asking them some questions, and our producing partner, he was saying to me, he goes, look, I'm going to tell you what, when you're in a battle and you're trying to arrest somebody and they're running or they're, you know, they're fighting back or whatever. Okay. So all gloves are off. All things are fair. But once you get those handcuffs on and that's it, then you pull everything back. There's no more struggling. You get them right into the car. That's it. There isn't any more that should be happening. And that really spoke to me because, you know, thinking about, you know, we have a lot of things of police brutality. People call out this a lot. But, you know, a lot of times I think they don't understand the ramifications of what's happening in that situation. But in this situation, it is evident nothing was happening.
Right, 9.5 minutes is an eternity.
Did you ever have a friend like hold you under the water at the swimming pool for a period of time where you really thought, I got to get air right this minute? What did you start doing? Flailing around, crazy person?
Yes.
He wasn't doing that.
No.
He was trying to raise his one shoulder so that he could get breath and get, you know, air, but he wasn't fighting in any way, which should have told them he's in dire distress because he goes from being very polite, sir, I can't breathe, sir, I can't breathe, please, 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 my stomach hurts, calling out for his mama.
That broke my heart.
To not talking at all, to not moving at all. In that 9 minutes, you don't realize he's getting low. Something is going bad, wrong. I mean, that just, the whole thing, y'all. I mean, as a parent, you can't watch it as a person in the law enforcement community. You can't watch it. Nobody can watch this without just being heartsick over it. You just can't.
Right. Yeah, and that 9 minutes, like you said, that's, you know, when you're thinking about 9 minutes in a situation like this is an eternity. I was saying, you know, I told you earlier that, you know, my mom was a diabetic, you know, and she went in diabetic shock quite often. I would call the ambulance as a kid and wait for the ambulance to come. And, you know, they would come within 2, 3, maybe 4 minutes, you know, at 5 minutes at the max. But that time period where I was waiting for them to come was horrible and an eternity and I can't imagine. For 9 minutes, nothing was done. Nobody was on a radio. Nobody was checking in to see, hey, are you all right? He's peed himself. What in the hell is happening in that 9 minutes?
Right. And again, we don't know what caused this.
No.
Like when he had a frame, you don't know what's going on, but then it looks like he's in the car. Then they're pulling him out of the car. Like, it makes no sense.
Absolutely not. And you know, what do you think about them knowing each other beforehand?
Oh, God. Again, in my world, I have a eidetic memory for faces. So if I've ever met you and I see you, I know that I know you. Now, it may take me a minute to go through my Rolodex. Is it high school? Was it college?
Right.
You know, did we party together once? You know, it's going to take me a minute. I know that I know you. So what generally happens for me is there's this natural, I know you, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so I can't fathom that he worked with that man for over a year and would not be going, hey, buddy, look, we're going to clear this up. These kids said you had a fake 10. Do you have a $10 bill on you? Did you know it was fake? True story. We have a prominent defense attorney in Atlanta that stopped for gasoline once, gave the man the cash money. He said, this is no good. It's counterfeit. She had no way of knowing she had counterfeit money from somewhere that she got from another transaction.
Yep.
It could have been just that simple. The kids could have made a mistake. Just that simple. They could have said, well, you know, I've got to take this. I've got to confiscate it because we got to destroy it because it is counterfeit. But go on about your day. I mean, you can't even prove intent.
Yeah.
He didn't.
I mean, I worked in retail. I've gotten a million different, you know, fake bills, and all I've ever done is tell them, I'm sorry, I can't take this. Like,
But if he works security with you,
right.
then some benefit of the doubt that he's a security person, he is going to probably be doing the right thing. Here's the other reality. When the kid said, no, we're not taking the money, did he run to his car and speed off? No, he's still sitting there. He's still sitting in his car, not trying to flee, not trying to get away. That tells me he may not have done anything wrong, y'all.
Sure.
When I was an early person in college, before I started my direct nursing courses, I worked at Goodwill. And so we had the little, you know, purple marker that you just see if it's fake. If it glows yellow, it's fake. But they were like, because I worked in, so Milwaukee is the most segregated city in the country. And it's a sad fact. And there is a clear dividing line, which is very, very upsetting. I lived on all parts of this city. And so I was working on the predominantly African-American side of town. And they were like, do not highlight anything bigger than a 20. If it's 20 or more, that's when you highlight it. Because we got cash all the time. They're like 1s, 5s, 10s. It's not worth it.
Right.
$20 and up. And we don't accept $100 bills. So it's just 20s.
Right.
Listen, it was $10.
Right.
What he was trying to buy a car with cash.
Right.
Did something else go on that we just don't know? I mean, and that's the other thing, like Chavin's demeanor, it just was so strange to me. Like he was just no emotion, no response. He wasn't talking to the guy. He wasn't, you know, he wasn't talking to George. He's not talking to the crowd. He wasn't on the radio. He wasn't calling for backup. He wasn't talking to the other guys. It was like he had checked out. His eyes were big, you know, and just off in nowhere land.
He's also not checking on him.
Yeah.
See, that's another, you know, when you're talking to people, right, it makes everybody a little calmer. Just explain what you're doing. Some of the best officers in the world that I have ever worked with, they talk the whole time.
Yes.
They say, look, I'm going to do this for my protection and yours. Then we're going to do this. I just want to see what they say.
Right.
If it's what you say, we're good. If not, we'll work it out.
Right. We do the same thing as nurses.
Right.
Of course. Oh my gosh, the best nurses in the world. Absolutely. And there's no reason to play this any other way except human to human. Right. If you have to go to jail, you got to go to jail, but you ain't got to stay there forever. Especially over something like this, we can clear this up. Right. And again, even if it was counterfeit, doesn't mean he knew it.
Right. And so I think what's upsetting a lot of people is obviously people just want clear information regarding the other 3 officers. I think they were upset about the delay in arresting Chauvin at the first place, though you had said before that, you know, you got to do things right. That way it doesn't come to bite us in the butt later on.
Due process. And if you don't do it right, it's going to get thrown out. Period. End of story. Doesn't matter what's on video. It doesn't matter what somebody even confessed to. It's got to legally be sound, or it's going to have a very different outcome, and you do not want that.
Right.
In any case. You know?
And what can...
Again, if I can just interject one thing. That's what I love about my job. My job is not my opinion. If I collect DNA, it either puts somebody there or it exonerates somebody. Fingerprint, same way. So I don't have to worry about, you know, oh, well, I believe so-and-so. can I prove it or not?
Mm-hmm.
Because your fingerprint and that ain't your blood, groovy. We're moving to somebody else.
Mm-hmm.
And to me, again, the facts matter. The scientific evidence matter. The law matters.
Yeah.
And that's something I think when things like this happen and law enforcement is slow to come public and talk to people, we got to get better at talking faster and explaining what we know when we know it. And not off and not say anything for 3 days. Because if you're not telling me, I don't know what the heck's going on. And I'm just going to be madder and more afraid and more frustrated.
Right. And I think that's what's happening. And that's why people are upset. I mean, there's been, police violence against minorities forever. And so I think there are so many situations like Brionna Taylor, George Floyd, all happening at the same time that people are just frustrated about the system, about really everything. And so that's why they are out protesting for a really good cause. And I'm proud that a lot of them are wearing masks during this pandemic. And there are situations that are arising out of the peaceful protests that are turning into riots, usually typically after the curfew later on, that these peaceful protesters are, and some of them, instigating situations that are turning into violence, like police cars being burned, the precinct being burned down.
Look, not everybody comes to your party with the same motive.
Yep.
Right.
And to me, we've got to be very, very clear. You might even yourself start as a protester, but the minute you change your own title to rioter, then the way people are going to respond to you are going to be different.
And you've talked out about that. You've spoken about the law enforcement buildings being burned. And we're going to have, now retired police detective, Stephen David Lampley, on later this week. And he served on the riot team in Alabama for several years. And so
love him.
I do too. And I'd love to get your thoughts on this chaos and what you're seeing when you're watching these buildings like this being burned.
We had a tragedy in Georgia where a person that was being charged with a sexual offense murdered a judge, murdered a sheriff's deputy, and murdered a court reporter. The court reporter was the only person in that room, literally, for that man. She was going to be the one that had everything sealed so that you could make an appeal. Did everybody say the right thing and do the right thing? She was your shot. There's no reason to kill her.
Right.
And that's how I feel when you turn the rioting toward the courthouse or the police precinct. There are files in there that could help your appeal, that could help exonerate your brother or your neighbor or your dad.
Your friend.
That's what I don't think the process in their mind was just, that's the building where these people are that hurt people. I get it. But the files and the evidence and the witness statements, everything in there is something that's going to be needed to make sure somebody gets out of jail or prison.
Yeah,
sure. So you're talking rape kits, you're talking about guns, you're talking about suspected cocaine. Okay, but you're also talking about, that ain't my fingerprint. Well, the fingerprint that could have exonerated me that was taken at that scene is now gone. All the cold cases that have blood evidence and seminal fluid, gone. The bloody knife, burn up. And people keep saying things like, well, that's backed up somehow. How is physical evidence backed up?
The cloud can't hold a knife.
You can scan everything and do all this. Who is in a basement scanning everything to cold cases? Nobody. We don't have that kind of time or equipment. But again, that one partial fingerprint from 1972 is gone. The rootless hair that nobody ever tested because we were told with DNA, if there's no root, there's no reason to test it. Well, sugar, we can test it now. It just burn up.
Yep.
It's gone. Right. And that's the real effect that I think is pretty disastrous in and of itself. And again, it's not more important than Mr. Floyd's death or his family.
No, not at all.
But to that rape victim, she's
Mm-hmm.
devastated because she's got no evidence.
Right,
So-
and the Floyd family has even, you know, asked, please stop. This is not what George would want. You know, this is not how he would want to be handled. You know, and that speaks volumes for what type of family that is. We've run into that before with covering the Rodney Reed case, and
Yes.
how gracious that family has been for what is blatantly a wrongful conviction, and again another case of a corrupt cop who corrupt cop buddies did something very terrible in a small town in Texas to a black man, you know, and that was a devastating case that we've been working on, and hoping that we can get justice for Mr. Reed in some way. You know, but again, like you said, there's more to it than just this case. Like, when you're doing something, there's ramifications.
I was boots on the ground in Brunswick, literally walking the Ahmaud Arbery case.
Right.
Again, I'm very visual.
Mm-hmm.
So whenever I have a crime scene, I need to go there, even if it's historical. It doesn't matter how old it is. I need to go.
Mm-hmm.
I need to walk it so that I can truly understand it.
Mm-hmm.
That case is worse than I thought before I got there, and I already knew it was bad.
Oh,
There's so much when you're there and you see where the house is under construction. Behind it is the marsh river area.
mm-hmm.
So we couldn't run that way. On the other side of the street, almost every single house has a large privacy fence.
Right.
Well, he couldn't get over a 6-foot fence.
Mm-hmm.
He's literally trapped. So
Yeah.
you might ask yourself, why is he just staying in the roadway? Because he didn't have a choice.
Right.
If you look at the time frame from the first 911 call, the first one,
Mm-hmm.
to the second one is more time than you think it is.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a narrow trip from that house where he first starts running on film to when the man videotaping it, Roddy, starts to film. There's almost a solid 5 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
But he didn't more than 3 football fields.
Mm-hmm.
So what the heck is happening for 5 minutes? They're tracking him like they're hunting elk.
Right.
I don't know that this doesn't need to be a death penalty case. But again, we're working it. But it takes time, y'all.
Right.
It's not an automatic, well, they did this, arrest everybody.
Mm-hmm.
You want it to be solid and good so that there's no chance that somebody's going to say, that was illegal, throw everything out.
Sure.
So what would you say to law enforcement officers or people, you know, who are out there trying to keep the peace right now? What would you say to them to help communicate with the people who are out there protesting?
Well, keep in mind, I mean, I wore a badge today, drove a police car today. So, you know, what I told even the people that I work with that I respect and I love them. And I mean, we're all close and everything.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's important that you take the riot gear off, walk with them, talk with them. A lot of the people, you're going to know them. They're going to know you. Even if you don't know a soul there, you're a human being first. And the way you react to somebody, you can stand there and be stoic, or you can speak to people. Even if they don't speak back, even if they're angry, okay, but you can still speak. You can give, you know, direction of what's happening. Hey, they told us y'all could go down this roadway. It's only about 2 more miles till the gathering place. Just talk to people the way you would want to be, you know, directed and respond. You don't have to, you know, get over there, you know, turn your car off. You know what I mean? There's a way to do it.
There is. I mean, and most of the time when a person is angry and they're so upset, the only thing they really want is to be heard, you know?
Of course. And you're talking about people, they've expressed it every way they know. They've tried legislation. They've tried to meet with people. They're fed up. And again, you get to the point you're breaking your own stuff. Clearly, you're hurt, you're fearful, you're angry. But again, the minute you change from a protest to a rioter, the way people respond to you is going to be very different as well. So we need everybody stay peaceful. Again, You can cuss me out, but you're not going to set my patrol car on fire. I promise you.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't just be a criminal and think you have a free pass because something horrible happened to Mr.
Right.
Floyd.
Because you're mad. Right.
That's not accurate. And you're talking about people that are innocent people that had businesses they'll
Yep.
never recover.
Yeah.
Yep.
I mean, you're
And-
burning places, you're stealing things that can't be replaced. I mean, and I'm not putting the Football Hall of Fame above Mr. Floyd in any way, but I'm saying I don't know what that does in his memory and in his honor.
I wrote today on Facebook that I didn't understand what taking a pair of Nikes had to do with honoring a man's death. Are you going to remember him as you wear those Nikes? Is that what's happening? No, you just want a pair of Nikes.
Right.
Like that was what is upsetting to me is I don't understand the violence and the looting and the stealing and how that is somehow honoring a man that has been killed.
Well, and I think what's
protest, I'm all for it.
Yes.
Protest, walk, chant.
Yep.
You know, again, if you need to cuss somebody out, they will stand there and they will take it. And they will hopefully hear you. But you don't spit on another person. You don't hit a person.
Yep.
You wouldn't do it if the TV camera wasn't there and it wasn't a riot. So you shouldn't do it because it's a mob mentality. We're better than that anyway.
my favorite thing that I've seen is the people who are stopping the people from looting or from, getting violent. Stop it. What are you doing? This is supposed to be peaceful. Shut it down. Don't break these windows. What are you doing? We are peaceful. You're just making it worse. Move on. Let's go. Those people are
don't
great.
think the naysayers, right?
Yep.
You don't want to give the racists any ammunition to say, see?
Yep.
Don't
Yes.
do that.
He told you so. Right, exactly. Because then it becomes that. Right. I think the best thing I have seen happen is the sheriff who took off his riot gear, took everything, and said to them, I am here to protect you. I am here to make sure that you get to be heard. What can I do? How can I do this? And they said, walk with me, and he did.
Yes.
That was the best thing I've seen so far.
But if you ask your daddy, your uncle, anybody in the criminal justice field, why did you get into it? They will tell you to help people. That's why they got into that job.
Right.
Then damn it, help them.
Yeah.
But that doesn't require you to sit on somebody for 9 minutes.
Oh, hell no.
Right. It's been great seeing the law enforcement officers taking a knee with them, walking with them. I think it's helping the people who are protesting. It's them being heard. It's them feeling that they're not alone, that there are good people there to help them, and that they understand that they're willing to work with them and show that it's not all, anger on both sides here.
I had somebody ask me today, why in the world do you think they're rioting in New Zealand and all these other places? And I'm like, why do you not get it?
Right.
It's not a Milwaukee problem. It's not an Idaho problem. It's not an Atlanta problem. This is a problem, and we need to address it across the world, clearly.
Yeah.
And New Zealand, Amsterdam's doing beautiful things.
I just want to say, again, and y'all have heard me say it, I'm going to keep saying it, love wins, y'all. And as much as we loved people yesterday, we got to love them more today. And you get up every day and say, what can I do? What can I do to make sure they know I hear? What can I do to make sure anybody hurting is better because I spoke to them or went to them or helped them in some way? What can I do to make sure they know I love and care about them?
Right.
And that need to be doing, all of us, for everybody. We need to love law enforcement. We need to love suspects. We need to love people that are in jail. We need to love people that don't belong in jail.
Yep.
Right. And we just need to be, I think, as clear as we can be that we are all human beings and we're not going to let anybody hurt and we're not going to deliberately hurt nobody.
Yeah.
I mean, just love wins. Love wins, love wins. Every time I can give y'all 100 examples of 2 or 3 people that hurt somebody, but then 50 people try to do something about it.
Yep.
Or 12 people hurt somebody, and literally 1 million people, like 9/11, 1 million people showed up to get blood. Love wins.
Right.
Yep.
Right. Now you've got me crying because it's such a beautiful sentiment, you know, and to think that's truly the answer. That is the answer, to be compassionate and love and care for people, you know, in all ways.
It's never worked, honey. Force doesn't do it. Jail doesn't do it. Violence doesn't do it.
Right. Violence begets violence.
Is just love somebody. That's it.
Right. Hate breeds hate. Violence, you know, begets violence.
Yeah.
Love wins. Love
wins.
Love equals love. If you give love, you get love.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And y'all, I've got to go because I've got
No, that was a good point to end. So
yeah,
and we're going to do some great things together, and we're going to help everybody heal, and we're going to, you know, some justice, and we're going to do some good things, and
it starts out this way with people talking about it and trying to understand what is happening. So we want to thank you, Sheryl, for coming on. Folks, she's going to end up being one of our regular guests here and on the podcast every month. So we're very excited about that. We will be talking later this week about Tiger King and her investigation into the cold case of Don Lewis. I am so excited to talk to her about that. So, but we just want to thank her again, Sheryl. Thank you so much.
Of course. Listen, I tell you what, with your podcast, you ought to do a super cool logo with your podcast that says Love Wins. We should sell t-shirts, and we should do scholarship in Mr. Floyd's memory. And
I love that.
Let's do it.
What we're going to do. All right.
Let's do it. Let's do it. Let's do it. I will design that right away.
All right. Love you. Thank you.
Okay.
Bye.
Love you too, honey. Thanks so much for tuning in and dishing true crime with the Good Wives and Murder by Design. Don't forget to join our Patreon member club to get exclusive mini episodes, inside documents and pictures from the case, live YouTube discussions, our exclusive discussion group on Facebook, and get some amazing Good Wives merchandise.
And follow us on Twitter and Instagram at truecrimewives. And for more inside information, check out our podcast, The Good Wives Guide to True Crime, on any of your favorite podcast players.
Have a good one from the Good Wives, serving up true crime one dish at a time.